What's good with it, Black Goose TV family? Double salute as always. Your boy Fluence Boxing is back in the building with some more Fluence Boxing news. And y'all see the hype, y'all see the title, y'all see what's going on. Oleksandr Usyk said Tyson Fury, you want Anthony Joshua? You gonna disrespect me? You're not gonna call out my name. You're gonna call out AJ. You're gonna try and make it seem like I'm scared of you when you ain't never actually addressed me directly. You're gonna say all this fluff. You're gonna say all these lies, put out this crazy disrespectful narrative as if I'm scared of you. And you're gonna call out AJ and talk about y'all finna fight in December. Well, guess what? Guess what I'm gonna do? I don't even want to fight with you, Fury. I want the Deontay Wilder smoke. And look, me personally, as a boxing fan, a boxing enthusiast, a boxing lover, whatever you want to put it, however you want to call it, whatever you want to say, I'm all in for it, baby. Oleksandr Usyk targeted Deontay Wilder for his next U.S. fight. So, what does this mean, Black Goose TV family? Obviously, I've been talking about we got this heavyweight tournament going on. We had AJ versus Usyk 2. That was the start of it. Usyk won. He's on top of Mount Rushmore. I shouldn't really say that. That's the wrong words, but he's on top of that heavyweight tournament mountain right there. Just slightly below Tyson Fury, right? Some would say. Others would say he's neck and neck. Sitting different, sitting, chilling, looking over top of everything and trying to decipher what he wants to do, right? Tyson Fury's on the same thing. Obviously, next up, we got Joseph Parker versus Joe Joyce coming up very, very soon. We're going to see what's going to happen between the two of them. After that, we got Robert Helenius versus Deontay Wilder. We're going to see what happens with the two of them. And then, of course, what we already have take place, Andy Ruiz, Luis Ortiz, Andy Ruiz coming from the W. Now, what's interesting about this is we all know that Andy Ruiz wants the Deontay Wilder fight. We all know that Andy Ruiz called out Deontay Wilder directly. We all know that Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder probably would be the easier fight to make because we're talking about two guys under the same promotion. But when we're talking about money, when we're talking about mega fights, when we're talking about the potential to create something great within this time period that can follow suit. And what do I mean by that? Let me explain. What I mean by that is if Usyk fights Wilder, if Wilder gets past Robert Helenius, right? If Usyk fights Wilder, let's say Usyk beats Wilder. Let's say Tyson Fury beats AJ. Tyson Fury versus Usyk becomes a mega fight. It's already a big fight now. But put that into your mindset, Black Goose TV family. Wilder versus Usyk, Usyk beats Wilder. AJ versus Fury. Tyson Fury beats AJ. That makes Tyson Fury versus Usyk that's much more intriguing. It brings in that much more revenue. You have this aura around it. You have all these people in awe. Like right now, yes, people want to see it. But there's still other fights that people want to see as well. Just as much as Usyk versus Fury. Like people love Usyk versus Fury. That's a fight I want to see. But I kind of want to see Fury versus Deontay Wilder for more. I kind of want to see Tyson Fury versus AJ a little bit more. Kind of want to see Usyk versus Wilder more. It's just something about seeing Usyk and Tyson Fury fight each other intrigues me, but it doesn't intrigue me as much as seeing them fight some of these guys that are completely different stylistically. And I personally believe that if they do take the route of Fury fighting Joshua, Wilder and Usyk fighting, Usyk beating Wilder, Fury beating Joshua, all these are what ifs, obviously, and then Fury and Usyk is getting ready to fight, we're going to have one of the biggest heavyweight fights ever. I think if they skip that, it's going to be a big fight, but it won't be as big. That's my personal opinion. So with all that being said, how true do you think, or how much of a possibility, Black Goose TV family, do you think Oleksandr Usyk versus Deontay Wilder can happen if Wilder ends up being Robert Helenius? Like I said, Andy Ruiz is like, yo, I've been winning this fight. This is the fight I want because, you know, Andy Ruiz in his mind, he's thinking about how big of a fight it would be him versus AJ for the third fight. He wants that Fury fight, that Usyk fight. But let's be real. The money man at PBC is Deontay Wilder. So if I'm PBC, it's like, yeah, I could do Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz, keep it in-house, make a lot of money in-house. But what if Andy Ruiz beats Wilder, right? That kills all of our momentum. Wow, then, you know, Deontay Wilder could beat Robert Helenius. We can talk to Usyk, like, Usyk, hey, I know you want to fight someone. I know you just don't want to stay busy fight. I know, you know, you got the winner of Joseph Parker versus Joe Joyce kind of waiting in the wings, but I'm like, how much money are you really going to generate? How many eyeballs are you going to get when you come to that particular fight? You know, why don't you come up over here, fight Deontay Wilder? The same way, you know what I'm saying, Fury went over there and fought AJ. And if you beat him, you waiting in the wings with a big fight against Fury. If Fury beats AJ, you got a lot more money coming in. So That's how I see it. I actually think there's a big possibility we see Usyk versus Wilder, only if we really see AJ versus Fury. I'm gonna be reporting on that a little bit later as well. That's I think it's gonna be a change. It's gonna be a ripple effect, right? If we do actually see Fury versus AJ happen, I think we're gonna see Oleksandr Usyk versus Wilder happen if Wilder gets past Helenius, because it just makes sense. And unfortunately, if this is the case, that means this whole hype, or the dream, or the shit that I've been saying when it comes to the heavyweight tournament, all that was just folktale. All that shit was just us, putting shit out there because let's be 100% with it. That's skipping the line, and so that means that these other guys that we thought were actually in the tournament, Luis Ortiz, Andy Ruiz, Joe Joyce, Joseph Parker, Daniel Dubois, all these other guys, they're really not in it. It's really just between Usyk, Fury, Joshua, and Wilder, right? But we'll find out. We'll find out. I think the thing that's going to confirm it is whether or not Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua really actually happens at the end of the year. If it happens, let Wilder be Helenius. We're going to see Wilder versus Usyk early next year. Trust me. Or you know what? You know how they say, source, trust me, bro. Trust me, my nigga. So let's get into this article, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button below. Subscribe to the channel. Show some love to your boy, man. Comment on this, all the good stuff. Notification gang. Road to 5K. You already know what the deal is. So let's get into this joint. Let's see if we can find out something that can solidify, or at least, support some of the theories that I'm putting out there. Oleksandr Usyk targeting Deontay Wilder next for the U.S. fight. Unified heavyweight champion Oleksandr Usyk says he wants to face Deontay Bronze Brahmer next, potentially in the United States. Usyk reportedly plans on attending Wilder's next fight against Robert Helenius, on October 15th. So he actually plans to be there. With Tyson Fury busy, likely fighting AJ on December 3rd. So it looks like that's probably going to happen. Usyk needs an opponent to keep busy. Usyk can't afford to wait for Fury to fight Joshua and then face him next, because there's a possibility those two will be facing each other in a rematch. That's a good point if that happens. Usyk want to get a chance to battle Fury until the end of 2023 if he's still WBC champion by then. Deontay Wilder, said Usyk. Wilder is a dangerous fighter, and that fight would most likely be in the United States. It'll be interesting to see if Wilder agrees to challenge Usyk next if he gets by Helenius, as he got the potential for a lucrative fight against Joshua in 2023. Also, there's an option to face Andy Ruiz. See, that doesn't make sense. They contradicting themselves. Boxing News 24, y'all always on some bullshit when it comes to y'all getting to the details. Look, you can't in one breath say, there's probably a rematch in place if Tyson Fury fights AJ, because, if Fury loses, obviously they're going to have a rematch. If AJ loses, AJ has enough clout, or AJ has enough money in his bank where they're probably going to put a rematch clause either way. So you can't say he has to wait until late 2023, but then you're going to say, well, it's going to be interesting to see if Wilder ends up taking that fight because he can possibly fight Joshua in 2023. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, why would Wilder wait around? If Wilder's back, he's not going to fight Helenius and then wait all the way until the end of 2023 to fight Joshua. He's going to want to stay busy fight just like Usyk does. Now, will Wilder think it's worth the risk of fighting? Does Wilder think the money is really there to fight against Usyk? Because let's be real. Wilder doesn't need Usyk to get to Fury for that fourth fight. Wilder doesn't need Usyk to get to Joshua for the first fight, right? So it's more of a risk for Wilder because Usyk doesn't really do anything for his career other than maybe, get some respect from, boxing fans who never had, plans to respect him. But in all honesty, and for Wilder, it's more lucrative for him to fight Ruiz. Ruiz is a much easier fight. No disrespect to Ruiz, but it's a much more easy fight. It's a more a winnable fight. And that can be a good stay busy fight for him to wait for the Tyson Fury AJ winner or loser. You know what I'm saying? Him fighting Usyk doesn't really do much because let's say he fights Usyk and he loses. Well, it's going to be harder to get that Fury fight now. But the Joshua fight will be there if Joshua loses to Fury. It's just a weird, if you really think there's a whole bunch of what ifs when it comes to these scenarios, but in reality, Wilder doesn't benefit from fighting Usyk, but Usyk benefits greatly from fighting Wilder, like I said earlier. So we've been for real for years and years. If you don't think Anthony Joshua is for real with the opponents he faces, you have to be daft, said Eddie Hearn to IFL TV when told that Wilder doesn't think Joshua is for real and that he was a manufactured heavyweight. Didn't he say we got to spark up a joint and pass around or something like that? One lug of that stuff, and I think I'll be on my back. It would be quite amusing. I'd be happy to discuss with Deontay's co-manager, Shelly Finkel. I've got huge money for Deontay Wilder in the Middle East to fight a number of different opponents, including Dillian White as well. I'm happy to have these conversations with those guys anytime. I felt coming off the Usyk defeat, the Wilder AJ would be a fight that we definitely see in 2023. But right now we're focused on Tyson Fury to see if we can get it over the line and done. So, like I said, man, there's not too much I can really, talk about because all these are what ifs, possibilities, hopefullys. But, just to sum up everything, man, look, at the end of the day, Usyk gains more from fighting Wilder because if Usyk beats Wilder, it just puts him in a position where it's like, Fury, you have to fight me now, dog. You have to fight me. you have to fight me, especially if you beat AJ. It just makes more sense, and it makes the fight for Fury. It makes the fight for Fury versus Wilder a lot more lucrative, a lot more entertaining, a lot more eyeballs in it. If Fury beats AJ and if Usyk beats Wilder, now it doesn't do anything for Wilder. Like I said, Wilder can fight Ruiz, and he'll still have a chance to get that Tyson Fury fourth fight. Still have a chance at AJ. He can fight Usyk, still have those opportunities. Shit, he can fight Joe Schmo. He still has those opportunities because he created a great legacy off that Fury fight. So that's my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think. If you disagree, if you agree, whatever the case may be, man, make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, show some love. Road to 5K. You already know what it is on Sports Nigga Side of the Game. I'll be back. But one more boxing. Stay blessed, not stressed. Salute to the people. You already know who it is.